Hey friends, Greg here at the Pennywise Guys. I'm going to show you how to install a mini split air conditioning system compressor on the rear of a trailer that has no bumper. Let me show you how. Let's get started. Alright, what I'm going to have to do is on either side of this trailer is this 2" by 2" tubing. It's the frame that goes underneath the trailer, the whole length, and it's on both sides. And so I'm going to go ahead and fabricate a frame that's 2" by 2". This look like it's 1/8" wall, so I'll stick with 1/8" wall. I'm going to have to work around this because I'm going to bolt it up against through here. I'm going to fabricate a frame and bolt it up against here, but I've got this to deal with, so I'm going to have to cut a hole around the tubing. Okay, what I'm going to have to do is it'll come out from that 2x2, and I'll use 2x2 steel tubing, and I'm going to have to drop it down several inches to bring it out, about 16 inches, and then go across. Reason I have to drop it down is the license plate would be covered by the unit, so by dropping it down at least 4 inches, then the unit will be down here instead of up here, covering that part of that plate at the bottom. So I'll bring the top of the unit about there, and then so I have to drop this piece down and then go out, and then 2x2 tubing welded across where the unit will mount on the tubing that goes across. I'll draw that out. Alright, now that I've got a drawing of my plan for the framing, it's going to be 16 inches here, a drop of 6 inches, and 16 inches here. I'm going to go ahead and show you cutting process, what I'm going to do to put this together, and welding and everything. So I'll probably explain more of this design once we get it fitted up underneath the trailer. This is 2x2 by 1/8" wall tubing, square tubing. That's what's on the frame of the trailer. The subframe is the 2x2 1/8" wall tubing. So it's going to be bolted right underneath the existing frame that goes on the trailer. And so we'll have 1/2" bolts bolting it together, and then the unit is going to get mounted on the part that extrudes out from the back of the trailer. I'll have a crossbars there where it will match the footprint of the unit, and it'll be bolted down to that. So the reason I'm dropping this down is because the clearance of the license plate. We don't want to cover the license plate. I want it about 2 inches below the license plate. So I'm dropping it down a net of 4 inches with a 6" piece minus that 2" right there, a net drop of 4 inches. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the first cut. You've seen me on other videos using my DeWalt grinder with a cutoff wheel. I use that many times for cutting steel, but larger beams and larger steel. This Bauer handheld bandsaw I've used for many years. It's still running great. I highly recommend it. It's not that expensive. It works well. And for cutting small stuff like this, I just use my bandsaw. I went ahead and pre-marked it across and down so I can have a guidelines going down. Use a T-square and get this thing squared off with a Sharpie. Mark it so you can watch your lines as you're cutting, so you're not cutting at an angle and getting off. So here we go. We'll go ahead and start this. Okay, I cut across, and now I'm going to use the guidelines to make sure that I'm cutting down. Okay, There's a nice straight cut right there. Okay, I don't know if you saw that or not, but it does a good job of cutting steel. I highly recommend the Bauer. You get it at Harbor Freight, and it's a handheld bandsaw, and I've used it for a number of years cutting steel of different sizes, plate steel. And okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make the rest of the cut. Okay, I've got the all the pieces cut, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut 45-degree angles here. So I'm gonna be welding, this is the piece that sticks out. I'll 45 the piece that comes into it, and we'll do a weld. So the weld will be across that edge, and on 45 it'll be a nice clean joint that way with no open end. These two here are going to be a little different. I'll show you what I'm doing. I went ahead and did a square. I'm going to do a square cut down. I'm not going to cut it all the way through, and you'll see what I'm going to be doing here in a sec. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this here. Okay, what I did is I went ahead and cut it to where it's at the bottom of that radius there, so I'm not cutting into this 1/8" material here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let's see, maybe go this way with it. I'm going to clamp it to the pallet like this. If I can get this on here, let's see. Okay, and now I'm going to cut down, and I'm going to leave this material. So I'm going to cut it right across that edge and leave that 1/8" part, and I'll cut down to that line. You're starting it a little bit, get it the way. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I went all the way down, just about. That should break out of there. Yeah, let's go down. I didn't go quite far enough on that part. Just go ahead and go down here. Okay. So what I'm doing here is it's going to be welded like this with that plate there, capping that off. It's going to give it more strength. I'm going to weld it all the way around here, but also I'm going to weld it all the way around here, and that's just going to give it added strength and cap off the top of this tubing. I went ahead and beveled all the edges, 45-degree bevel with the DeWalt grinder to give better penetration for the welds. This is how it's going to fit together. I'll put that webbing in there. I call it a gusset. I'll cut it out of that material right there. But anyway, this piece here, I ground this flush, make sure that's flush, beveled it, and then this has got a natural bevel with the radius of the tubing on that, and I beveled across the front. So that gives me good penetration all the way around on my welds. Okay, I'll go ahead and bevel that, and the next step will be to tack weld and fit it to make sure everything's right, and then we'll solid weld it up. Okay, I've got the 2x2 tubing tacked together and in. Went ahead and notched out a hole here. I just drilled for a this size rod. The center of that I drilled in the middle of that, and then stepped it out to 1/2 inch, and then used a step drill, which excuse my reach here. It's a step drill right here. Use that to size that out to about close to 1 inch. Okay, and then I took the bandsaw and from the top marked it out and cut straight down. So I have a slot on both sides and across, so that the 2x2 just goes right over this shaft. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1/2 inch. I got a 1/2 inch hole here. I'm going to put a grade 8 1/2 inch bolt, fine threads right here, and then a 5/16 hole here and a 5/16 hole here, and I'll use a regular grade 5 bolts there, because most of the stress will be on this right here. The 1/2 inch grade 8 should be able to take that. After getting it tacked, I went ahead and got the holes drilled in placement so everything is fitting fine. I'm gonna go ahead and do the final welds. I got my welder adjusted. So what happened on my first tack welds is that my wire speed was too high. So I got that adjusted now, and we're gonna go ahead and weld this up solid. Okay, I won't do the whole thing on the video, but you'll see. Just make sure everything is squared off and still ready to go. You can always, with tack welds, you can cut and readjust it if you need to. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and weld her solid, and we'll go from there. All right. I want to show you what happened. The wind just kicked up right now. I'm doing this outside, and you know, I've got gas welding here for shield protection. When the wind starts to blow, you'll see what happens here. I just get rid of the slag, and I'm going to show you what happens when it gets windy. See all the pits? So just take off the slag and run another weld on there. I'm gonna grind them down anyway, but I just wanna make sure I got good penetration. And I should have waited to weld until the wind was still, but it's a little cloudy today, breeze kicked up, and that's what happened. Kind of breezy today, so I think we're just gonna have to hit it twice, deslog it, and then fill the holes and make sure that we got good penetration. That should work. Sometimes when we do production outside, if it's a little breezy, we have to set up wind protection to stop the wind from blowing that gas away so it pits like that. We can't have that in our construction. We do steel construction. But being that that takes a long time to set up, running a second pass and then I'll be grinding it down is fine. So anyway, make sure it's welded solid, and I'll go ahead and get it fitted and do the crossbars and get those welded up, and then we'll be ready to install. All right, I got the first cross piece tack welded in, and I'm going to now position the second piece. The unit came today, so I can go ahead and get the measurements of the footprint and get the second bar welded in. I went ahead and put the C-clamps with a angle iron to square that off at the bottom there on both sides to set it on and get it squared off, tack welded in. I had to use that big 24-inch pipe wrench to put on right back there, leverage it down, because until I tightened it up at the bolts, I didn't realize that the subframe that I'm bolting it to was slightly out of square, so it was about a degree or two tilted. So I left the bolts loose, cranked it down with a wrench, so this would align up here, spot welded it in. And now it's holding. I'll go ahead and get the other piece welded in place, solid, and that will hold it straight, and when I bolt it up, it won't tweak it. Okay, we'll go ahead and continue, and I won't show any more of the welding process. You know how to weld. If you don't, find someone that does to do the welding, and it should come out nice. Okay, got the second crossbar placed at 15 inches outside to outside, got it tack welded. I went ahead and welded the top bead there. No wind today, so the weld came out great the first pass. And then I will weld up everything solid. I'm going to take this down first so I can do all flat welds. I went ahead and, since I'm by myself today, I went ahead and put my 4-jack in the middle. I'm going to unbolt both sides and then lower it down, and then I'll take it over to the bench and finish welding. All right, here's the finished frame, all welded and painted. I got the unit installed. We're gonna go ahead and get all the installation video done here for you. Just wanted to show you the framework though. It turned out really nice. And it's bolted underneath like I showed you. I'll take a peek here. So it's bolted there across. And very strong, very nice.
I pray that you are blessed, that you know Him who is the author of life.